Howdy! Today we're along the banks of the Metolius River in Central Oregon. Today I'd like to share with you my versions of some caddis flies. The caddis fly is probably one of the more popular flies to have in your fly box because they can be used just virtually anywhere from coast to coast, and whether it's on a stream or a river or even a lake. The caddis fly is one of those insects that goes through a complete life cycle. And what that is, they go from a larva to a pupa to an adult stage, and finally the spinner stage. To start off with, what we're going to be tying is the larva stage, and this particular one is what we call the Hydropsyche. The Hydropsyche is a net building caddis. What that is, it gets down on the bottom and it builds like a cobweb in the debris between rocks or twigs or something. And as the water passes through it, it traps food particles, and along with some other twigs and debris and algae and stuff. So the caddis does have to do a little house cleaning from time to time. To start off with, we'll be tying what I like to call the Hydropsyche larva. The materials we're going to be using is a 2302 hook. The gills are out of ostrich. The body itself is out of Larva Lace. The wing case is out of medallion sheeting, and the thorax is out of possum. So let's give it a try. First thing we're going to do is grab our hook, and we'll put that in the vise, just like so. And then we're going to attach our thread. To begin with, we're going to have to form an underbody. We're going to do that with single strand floss. We just get it started on here a little bit. Cut it off. Then we just want to build it up a little bit so we have a nice smooth underbody. The nice thing about using the floss, it adds bulk to your fly fairly quickly. And then, as you notice, we're doing it in white. And that's a trick I learned a long time ago from the master John Betts. By doing it in white, we can come back and make it any color we want later. That should be enough. Now we're going to attach our body material, which is Larva Lace. And then what we're going to do before we tie it in is just take the end of it and cut it at an angle so we have a nice smooth tie-in area. So we just start tying it down, and we wrap our thread back, making sure it's nice and smooth. Then we're going to wrap back just down onto the bend of the hook a little bit. Now we have our underbody done. Next thing we're going to do is tie in our gills, which is ostrich. And for that, what I like to use is I use one white ostrich, and I like to use either the natural gray or a dyed gray ostrich. It just helps to represent the colorations of the gills on the natural itself. Then we're going to even up the base of them a little bit here. Even them up. Then we're going to strip off some of that stem there. Pull some of that fuzz off. Now we're ready to tie it in. So we attach it on the underside of the fly. Then we bring our thread forward, making sure we have a nice smooth underbody. Then we'll build that up a little bit right there. And now we're ready to take our thread off. So we finish it off here. And then we'll take this floss off of here. Now, since we have the white underbody, we can color it any color we want to. Today we're going to be using an olive magic marker. The particular olive color that I like is from Chart Pack, and it's the pale olive color, or P34. So all you got to do is color up that floss underbody, and then we're done. Now what we're going to do is a trick that I learned from Mike Tucker, and it's, some call it a Potts weave and some call it a variation of it. But what Mike uses it for is his liquid-filled scud pattern. First thing we're going to do is we're going to hold our lace out away. We're going to take one turn with the ostrich right behind it. Now as I start to come back around again, I'm going to drop the lace and come in front of it. And when I do that, I'm going to take my middle finger, hold the ostrich here, and then just come over the top with the lace. Now we just keep redoing this until we get up to the thorax area. Just come down and around, and then bring your lace right over the top. Down, around, and your lace on the top. As we come down and around, the reason you put your finger here, that's to keep the ostrich fibers from rotating all the way up to the top. So we just keep doing this until we get up to the thorax area. And this is really a neat little tying procedure, so we can keep the ostrich on the bottom and our body material on top. Now we're at a point where I want to stop, so I grab it with my left hand, and I'm going to reattach some thread here. Now we're going to tie off this lace. Take several turns to make sure it's tied in there nice and good. Then we'll just cut off that lace. And then we'll make sure it's tied in there real good with some more turns. Then we're just going to take this ostrich, grab it, and just pull it off. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is tying in our wing case or shell back. For that we're going to be using medallion sheeting. So what I'll do is just take a strip of this out of here. And we're just going to cut a fairly narrow strip on here. Cut a little hunk of it out. Set that aside. Now we're ready to tie it in. When I tie it in, I'll lay it on the side towards me. Now as I bring my thread over the top, you can just see how it kind of molds right around the top of the hook shank. So just make sure it's tied in there good. Now we're ready to add our thorax material, or our possum. The neat thing about this stuff is it has some guard hairs in there, but a lot of underfur. So what you can do is dub it real tight if you want to, or you can dub it fairly loose so you have the guard hairs within it, which we want, and they'll give you the illusion of some legs. So we'll dub some of this on here. You can see how shaggy it is. And that's just from dubbing it fairly loose. This particular color here is the natural color. You can get it in a variety of different colors. I just like this natural kind of gray-brown color. Now we're just going to fold this wing case over with our thread back by the wing case. Fold this over the top. And we'll take 2 turns of thread in the very same place. And then cinch down. Then we'll come forward a little bit. Do it again. And then cinch down. Now I'll come in with my left hand and just stroke all this material back a little bit so I can bring my thread up to the eye. And then I'll bring the wing case material right over the top. And we'll tie that down. And then we can trim this off. And we'll form a nice smooth head here. And we can whip finish it off. just like so. Take our thread off of here. And what I like to do is just kind of stroke all this material down underneath so it helps to represent the legs. And if you get some that are a little bit longer, you can just come in and trim them a little bit. Just like so. Now what we're going to do is add a little character to it. We'll take a black magic marker and we'll just kind of rotate it a little bit. That's the nice thing about having a rotary vise, especially like AKs. You can turn your fly over and you don't have to turn your head, and you just add some more color to it here. And just put some black dots right down the back of it, a little bit on the wing case area. Flip it back around. And I like to have my wing case just a little bit darker, so we'll grab another magic marker and we'll just darken it up a little bit. Just like so. And there you have it. That's what I call the Hydropsyche.